Peter Wager, ich leite das Exterior Design bei Porsche und heute möchte ich unsere neue Mission R Konzeptfahrzeug zeigen. Ein Projekt ganz dicht an unserem Markenkern und ich kann schon sagen, das hat uns extrem viel Spaß gemacht. Ein Fahrzeug, wo wir haben alles an Bord. Also das ist ein Rennwagen für Porsche. Es ist ein GT-Fahrzeug und vor allem ist es ein elektrisches Auto, was für uns Design auch eine Herausforderung war. Und das Spannendste natürlich bei dem Projekt war, dass wir gemeinsam mit den Motorsportkollegen dieses Fahrzeug gestaltet haben und auch entwickelt haben. Ich muss ganz ehrlich sagen, wir haben sehr, sehr viel gelernt. Ich persönlich auch, also viele kleine Details, dadurch, dass die Kollegen die ganze Zeit dabei waren. Die ganze Aerodynamik, was dieses Fahrzeug hat, also die Durchströmung durch diese mittlere Lufteinlass hier, durch die Haube, dann haben wir eine Rathausentlüftung über dem Vorderrad, dann natürlich diese ganz klassische Entlüftung hier hinter dem Vorderrad und dadurch habe ich schon eine fantastische dreidimensionale Seite. Und dann gehe ich hier wieder rein, weil ich natürlich diese maximale Aerodynamik, auch diesen Unterboden und diese Effizienz auch nutzen möchte. Und hinten beenden wir das Fahrzeug mit diesem riesen Flügel, was natürlich auch sehr funktional ist und sehr viel Abtrieb generieren kann. Ein schönes Element, eine sichtbare Käfig, das ist auch was ganz Neues. Normalerweise ist diese ganze Struktur versteckt in so einem Rennfahrzeug. Wir haben, wie gesagt, damit wir noch niedriger werden können, haben wir das Ganze sichtbar gemacht und bündig mit diesen Glasscheiben sozusagen dargestellt. Es ist nicht nur funktional, sondern aus meiner Sicht von oben gesehen auch sehr, sehr ästhetisch. Zu so einem Rennfahrzeug gehört natürlich auch eine attraktive Lackierung. Jetzt in dem Fall haben wir wirklich überlegt, was machen wir? Man kann das in alle möglichen bunten Farben natürlich später vorstellen. In dem Fall haben wir auf unsere klassischen Farben zurückgegriffen. Das heißt, wir haben Weiß als Basisfarbe, dann natürlich das Thema Schwarz, weil wir viele dunkle Elemente auch haben und das Thema Rot, was zu Porsche auch sehr gut passt. Sage ich immer wieder, ein Porsche von hinten muss natürlich am attraktivsten aussehen. Wir haben ein sehr schönes Leuchtenband mit einem leuchtenden Schriftzug, was natürlich das Ganze nochmal dreidimensionaler macht und ich finde durch die Proportionen und durch diese funktionale Diffusor, was dieses Auto noch ganz unten hat mit dem Riesenflügel, also es ist wirklich sehr, sehr brachial und passt zu der Marke Porsche sehr gut.
Today we presented the Mission R. That is our concept idea, how electric motorsport could be in the future. And as you know, Porsche, all the technology and the design we put in a study, one day it becomes reality. When you look to the 918 or to the Mission E, which we transformed to the Taycan, and therefore we have a lot of ideas which we can combine also with future series cars. That's exactly the idea, to create an own cup, and therefore the Mission R could be the perfect base. It's a car with 1000 horsepower, with a top speed over 300 kilometers per hour, and to race for 30 minutes, it could be the perfect car. And therefore we think really in it to create our own series to go with this car. Motorsport has always been the core of Porsche, and our idea is to develop innovations on the racetrack because it's the hardest field to test our innovations. There are a lot of them, the double clutch technology, for example, the 800-volt system we use today in the Taycan. We developed in our Le Mans racer 919, where we have won Le Mans 3 times in a row. And so that is our motivation for motorsport, testing, winning, and then transferring it to serial production cars. Customer racing is very important for Porsche, especially our customers who are passionate for racing are the core of Porsche. And therefore we are investing a lot for customer sports. and also discussing with our customers of their ideas, how should we develop a Porsche for the future. And so the opinion of our customers count a lot. And therefore we will continue with our core discipline, customer motorsport, also in future, for example, with this electric version, Mission R. No, we haven't decided yet a concrete time frame. It depends on a lot of topics, technological topics, battery system, and our cycle plan. No? When does it fit to our development ideas, our investments behind? But the concept is in a very positive situation and level that we could be quickly to realize this idea. We are investing also for e-fuels, which could be a very positive solution also for the combustion engine motorsport. And beginning of next year, we will use these e-fuels, for example, in the Mobile One Porsche Super Cup. And I think we will have both of it, also combustion engines in the future in motorsport and the electric motorsport. Like we are in serial production cars, we are in a transition period, and we have the same in motorsport. And therefore, for the next 10-15 years, we will see both of it. And important is to have solutions for both of it. E-fuels on the one hand side, and on the other side, an electric race car like the Mission R. Our pioneering spirit, our innovation activities is the core of Porsche. It has ever been Porsche, and it will Porsche be in future. And therefore, Porsche lives from innovations and from courage to test new things and then bring it to serial production. And what we presented today is the beginning of new ideas which we will transfer also to serial production cars.
The Mission R for me is giving a perfect idea of how even the electrification in the automotive industry goes into racing cars, where maybe some people might have a big question mark if this works. In the top motorsport, the Formula E, we have already an idea how it could work, but for Porsche, since customer racing sports is so important, for me it's a perfect symbol of there's no contradiction, it works. When the whole project started, it was to create a car that is really representing the idea for customer racing sports. And for customer racing, there's always a close connection to a production car. So when I took the pencil in the beginning, it was clear that it has to be a car that is compact, that is as well, or where it's easy to understand that there could be a production car underneath. You know, at Porsche we have a very long track record. Whenever we do a concept or show car, it is very close to reality. We never do it just for the sake of having fun. So this car as well has a very high level of feasibility. So technology-wise, design-wise, it is very close to reality. Whenever we would decide to do it like this, we could do it very fast. I mean, we are back to this level of feasibility. We did this in a very close cooperation with the motorsports from Porsche, and all their experience and expertise regarding aerodynamics, technology, influenced this car and found its way as well into, for example, the rear wing, stuff like this. So again, very close to reality. I mean, this electric, let's say, technology in a way offers new possibilities for the design, since some big components like the engine block or the exhaust system you don't need anymore. It's replaced by other components. The challenging thing for really a sports car and for a racing car are the proportions of the car, the width to height ratio. And therefore, normally you have the batteries in the floor, put the people on top of it, which drives the height of the car. So the big challenge was really the package, to have this low center of gravity, good for handling, and still keeping the proportions the designer wanted to have. So first of all, as a designer, I had to learn that EVs need at least as much cooling as combustion engines. But again, all the experience from the motorsports, where the air has to go in, where the air has to go out. In the front, we have these flaps, and again, the air is very well directed. I mean, this, if you talk about sustainability, environmental responsibility, I mean, motorsports so far, the traditional motorsports, there's a big question mark. So first of all, it's an EV, but the use of materials plays as well a very, very important role. And as well, there's already some experience, and this show car or this concept shows as well that there's basically no contradiction between, if you look at the diffuser with natural fiber material, it's possible. And why should we not use material that comes out of the nature or is even recycled? Yeah, again, it's a car for customer racing. There's a connection to production cars, and the interior gives you a feeling how we intend to do the interior of future sports cars, where the focus on the driver, this driver orientation plays a very important role. And if you have a closer look at the interior, that gives you as well an idea how that will develop into the future. I mean, what we see today is that the boundaries between physical motorsports, racing on the track, and this e-sports is more and more disappearing or becomes one thing. So, for example, we have as well cameras moving in the car where you can really record your day driving the car, or the driver place is basically a unit you could take out. It's as well acting as a simulator. So as well, a lot of ideas that these two worlds become one world. I mean, I would say whenever you do a racing car, you have some requirements, especially coming from the racing guys, air cooling, downforce, stuff like this. So to incorporate all these things based on the new technology, and as a designer as well, I mean, there are a lot of details where you always have discussion. Yeah, for me, I mean, this tail lamp is one of my favorite parts. The way the light comes out of this, the Porsche name illuminated. So that's really my favorite part of the car.
It's absolutely exciting. I mean, when you see the car standing there, it's, I mean, already it looks very fast just standing there, but the development process was very interesting, you know. I was amongst the first drivers to be involved, such as Porsche test driver Lars Kern, and we really started from scratch. And I think that's a good relationship, and it goes way back at Porsche, this kind of, you know, where the driver is a big part of the development process. Yes, for sure. I mean, I have also generated a lot of experience throughout the years and decades, you know, being in this kind of development process. And always it's a new kind of motivation. Always you can contribute something which you learn from other projects. And I think that's a valuable part for the engineers and everything. And still, you know, a human being is sitting behind the wheel. So I think this kind of feedback is very important. Well, I drove different kind of prototypes in the early process, and not with a full amount of power, so it was like in different steps. But for sure, like driving it, like the values and like the sort of acceleration and the handling. I mean, it's a real race car, and I mean, especially the accelerations. This is kind of an experience that I only had, like, you know, driving LMP1 cars such as the 919 Hybrid, our Le Mans winning car. So these, we're talking about, you know, like close to 1,000 horsepower, all-wheel drive. So this kind of facts are really, you only get in top-level racing cars. Well, I mean, that's a good question actually, because the 919 Hybrid was not only like the biggest project I was involved with, but it was also like kind of the really first project where I was in touch with electric mobility. You know, we had a hybrid system which was generating or driving the front, like the e-machine was sitting at the front, and the turbo engine, sitting at the rear. So this was a kind of, the interaction was important, but it was the first time I was, you know, being part of this program with the electric engine, and the power that it generates and the power that it's producing is a completely different shape compared to a normal turbo engine. So I think this kind of, and that's exactly what would help me, like giving my feedback and contributing to the Mission R program. Well, it's a vision for a future customer car, or a vision for a customer car which, you know, will be or could be on the racetrack in the future. And I think the outlook is just stunning. Not only the design, but also like the values and the performance that it can generate. So I think that's really a car to look forward to, and also to have, you name it, to have great racing as well, like to be able to drive like a race distance and to drive sprint races and to have like nice fights. I think, and there are a lot more elements which we will see in the future, which this car is already producing, and I think it's a really proper outlook which for a customer car of the future. I would love to see that, you know, because it's innovations. I mean, the technical process always goes further, and I think we have to be open to that. And I think that's really something, I think, which will drive also the next generation, or you know, which I think can only bring not only new drivers but also like new fans into the motorsport. I think that's how we have to see it also for the future. It can well be. I mean, when I started as a Porsche Junior, I still had to clutch on every shifting, you know, and still had H-pattern shifting. Now the Porsche Juniors nowadays, they never experience that with the H-pattern, so they go straight to, you know, to the pedal shifting. So it might as well be that, you know, in the future we're talking about, you know, drivers only having driven or starting in electric motorsport. You know, it could well be. Well, it's, first of all, I think it's to have the weight as low as possible, that the car really handles like nice and very nimble, and then also to have it on the place where it spreads like the weight in the perfect way, like to really get the best performance out of the car. Well, I'm really curious to see in what kind of time frame or how the steps will develop in the future, but I'm really positive that the brand I love so much like is really looking into the future and thinking about new concepts and really, I mean, this is something which really offers a perspective for future motorsport. And I think I'm very proud of this, that my brand is offering that.
So where are we? We're here releasing the new car, and this is the future of motorsport. Where are we going to be in the next 5 years? And this is sort of the aspirational aspect of it. As a driver, it really is fascinating to me to see how we're going to evolve. I mean, we have to be considering the environment, and it's just unsustainable. So the passion for motorsport and cars are never going to go away. So how do we lessen the impact on the environment? How do we make an impact through motorsport in a positive way? And that's what I think the exercise is here today. Yeah, I think we're coming to that. I think there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of possibilities that the combustion engine will stay around. Certainly, how we're going to fuel it, that's going to be the question. But I think you're starting to see really people embracing electric cars. We're getting used to it now. It's hard to make the transition because of the sound, right? I think this is the big thing for someone who is older. I miss that. So how are we going to keep that and the enthusiasm? As a driver, the competition is still going to be the same. The experience is going to be there. And I think that you don't lose. But it's just the sound that we all have to get over. And that is just us becoming old and becoming those people. But it's something that you have to adapt to, certainly. Yeah, because you don't know what the DOP is going to be like, right? So sometimes it's working for you and sometimes it's working against you. When you're in a series where you're all identically prepared, then it's really about the driver, the team, and then your racecraft. And that's what's exciting about this. Can this be a nice customer program car? And as an owner, can I get 2 or 3, 4 cars that I can sell seats to that's sustainable and there's a bit of a profit? And then also as a gentleman driver, can I get to a race on a Saturday? And what I like about this is the concept of having the simulator, so I don't have to be at an actual track testing and more time away from my family or my business, but I still get the same experience mentally and physically when I get to the track for that one-day race. If I could race anything right now, I'd be happy. But yes, I would love to do this. And I think to come into this program at this point and to watch it evolve is part of the excitement. And to be a part of the 919 program and watching that evolve and to see what we learned from that to how it's affecting, well, the Taycan certainly, and now with this program, it would be nice to be a part of that. So yeah, I can't wait to get in the car and test it.